Hello, my dears, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. I'm Shannon, and today I've got another book talk video to share with you guys. And unfortunately, we are once again having to do this podcast style because it's too hot. It's too hot. But hopefully, this will be the last time we will have to do it this way this summer. Anyway, today we are talking about The Lamb by Lucy Rose. I've heard other booktubers talk about this. I've been excited to give it a try. And I did. I read it all today. All of it. I couldn't put it down. I was dying to see where this was going. And wow. So, first of all, if you're new to my channel, how the book talks go, I tell you a bit about the book. You know, synopsis style, give you some thoughts, and then we move into spoilers. However, with this one, considering the subject matter, I don't know how deep into spoilers I'll be able to get, because I don't know how much I can realistically talk about it, or how much you're going to want to hear me talk about it. So we're just going to get going and see where it takes us. So this is the story of a young girl named Margot, and Margot lives with her mama in the woods. And I don't know where it takes place. Maybe England or Ireland or Australia. I'm just basing that on the spellings. Like tire spelt with a Y. So I'm thinking over there somewhere. And so when we first meet Margot, she's a little girl, and her and her mom live in the woods. She goes to school and she takes a bus. A bus goes around and collects all of the sort of kids that live out of town and take them to school. And yeah, her and her mom, they live in the woods. Her dad disappeared. He ran off when she was 4, I think. And she is constantly wishing and hoping that her dad's going to return. It's her one wish in this world. And the thing you need to know about Margot and her mama is that every so often, a stray will come and knock on their door. And what they consider to be a stray is anyone that has kind of veered off the beaten path and has gotten themselves lost in these woods. And what Margot and her mama do is they invite them in, they feed them, they treat them to a really good time. They want these people to be happy because what's about to happen to them is horrific. And they believe that it's better if they're happy. Because what they do is they kill these people and they eat them. And that's kind of the basic premise. We've got Margot, who's sort of in that coming of age period where she's trying to learn more about herself outside of her mother, which of course in this situation is the last thing her mother would want to happen. And it's a story of isolation and family and desire and that longing that we feel to fill the voids inside of ourselves. And the way we go about trying to do that is basically the gist of it. Like I told you, I read it all today. So that tells you. I keep going back and forth on what I want to rate it because while I enjoyed it, it's incredibly gruesome. But like I knew that going in. I knew that was going to be the case. But not only is it incredibly gruesome, it's incredibly sad. And it's like claustrophobic. And it works in that way that all good horror novels work, you know? You're feeling anxious, you're feeling trapped. And I loved that about it. And let me tell you, it's been a long time since I've rooted for a character as much as I rooted for Margot and how much I wanted her to be able to get out of this terrible situation that she finds herself in. Because what happens is eventually one of the strays knocks on the door, and it's a woman, and her name is Eden. And her mama, like Margot's mama, is instantly taken with this woman. And instead of consuming her the way they do with all the other strays, Mama wants to keep this one, and she quickly falls in love with her. And this duo of Mama and Eden changes the whole dynamic of Margot and Mama's relationship. So that's really all I can tell you. Without getting into any spoilers, I think I keep going back and forth. Sometimes I'm like, it was 3 stars, it was 4 stars, it was 5 stars. I think I'm going to settle on 4.5 rounded up to 5. Because even though there were parts that were so unsettling and disgusting, that's kind of the whole point of a good horror novel, right? So being off put by it shouldn't take away from its rating. There we go. Okay, now listen. If you don't want the spoilers, now's the time for you to skedaddle. Okay, now that they're gone, we can get into it. Like I said, I don't know how much I can say, but so Eden's arrived, and she's at first everything Margot had hoped for. Her mom's in love, they're happy. Margot's really intrigued by this woman too, and if they feel like a family. And since Margot has been pining for the return of her father, this kind of fills that for her. It feels like family. As time goes on, we learn, which I kind of knew from the get-go, but we're told outright that Margot and Mama ate Margot's dad. Margot was just so little, she's kind of repressed that memory until eventually Mama reminds her. So anyway, like I said, Margot goes to school. Mama's given her some strict rules about school. Like, you don't draw attention to yourself. You hand in your homework when it's due. If you're called upon to answer a question, you tell them you don't know the answer. Like, you just keep your head down. That way you're involved in the community, but you're not drawing attention to yourself. That works for a while. But Margot has relationships at school. She's got a best friend, Abby, who her mom's always telling her, like, you can't talk to her, you can't know her. And she's got a good relationship with the bus driver, the school bus driver named Steve. And he's always worried about Margot because oftentimes she's got bruises or she just looks uncared for. And he's always asking her, like, are things okay at home? And she's like, oh, yeah, everything's fine at home. You don't have to worry about me. But he does. He can tell something's off. But, he just tries to be supportive and let her know that should she need him, he's always around, ready to lend an ear or help her out if she needs. And as time goes by, eventually Eden starts getting into Mama's ear. And Eden is starting to find that Margot's a little difficult to deal with. And she's kind of tired of it. And one night, Margot overhears Eden and Mama talking about how she's next. Margot's next. And Eden's trying to convince Mama, like, we're going to do this for her, and it's the perfect way to keep her safe. Because recently Margot got suspended from school because she got into a fight with this, like, absolutely vile bully at her school named Patrick. So she overhears them, and Eden's like, this is the only way we can keep her safe. We'll eat her. We'll eat her up, and then she'll be safe in our tummies forever. And Mama's like, you know what? You're so right. Let's do that. And then Margot's like, oh my God. And then as we're building towards this happening, Mama's getting real mean to Margot, and she's telling her, like, I never wanted to be a mother. Least of all your mother. Like, you're a big disappointment. and I don't love you. Like, what? Oh my god. So anyway, they've got Margot tied up in the room where they keep the strays before they kill them. And one day, Margot manages to escape. She finds a little sewing needle. She manages to get the window open, and she makes a run for it. And I was like, yes, Margot, here we go. But she ends up getting caught by Mama and Eden and taken back. So as the days are passing, and Margot knows her days are numbered, like her days are numbered, she starts consuming things that she can find in the room. Like she sees mold on the walls, and she consumes it. And they've got hemlock in this drawer that she finds because they always keep that around because that's how they poison the strays. She starts eating little bits at a time, just enough to get it in her system. And then right before it's all about to happen, they bring her out and they're like, okay, you can come out. She's still like bound by the ankles, but they're like, you can come out, hang out with us as we get ready to do this. And she manages to get some of the hemlock in her pocket. And she sees a big pot on the stove that Eden is simmering to make broth out of Margot the next day. And Margot takes the hemlock from her pocket and she puts it in. She lets it simmer and she's like, listen, in her mind, she's like, the least I can do, if I can't save myself, I can take us all out. I can take us all out. And that will be my gift to the world, is to get you freaks out of it. And so the next day comes and Margot is killed. She's killed. And then we get her perspective, like her point of view, after she's been killed. And she's watching it all happen. And she's kind of, well, first of all, when she like passes and she's a spirit now, she goes for the door and she's like, finally, I'm getting out of here. But she can't open it. And she's like kind of doomed to haunt this place. So she just waits and waits until Mama and Eden are eating dinner, and then she can see the hemlock begin to take hold of them, and then they die right at the table. And then it's a little while later, like a couple of days later maybe, the bus driver who had really cared for her and who she really cared for, he came knocking at the door looking for her, just to make sure she was okay. And he could see the scene through the window of Mama and Eden at the table. And he breaks in. He finds Margot's remains in the bedroom, and he's heartbroken. But he calls the police and gets the scene taken care of. And then we're back in Margot's point of view as she thinks, I might be gone, but these woods are safe to walk in now for any strays that happen to be strolling through. They don't have to be afraid. That's kind of her contribution. And that's the end. And it was so sad. I teared up a couple of times towards the end. One, when Margot, when we first realized that they did it, they killed her. And then when the bus driver, Steve, gets to the house, it's just heartbreaking. And you guys, that's The Lamb by Lucy Rose. Not really an upbeat, uplifting story, but definitely very interesting and well written. Maybe a bit repetitive, but only in that, it's very claustrophobic, so it's a lot of the same things, the same days taking place. But I thought it worked. It was gross. It was anxiety inducing. I had feelings of dread the entire time. And I enjoyed it. So there you go. You guys. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read The Lamb by Lucy Rose. And if you did, what you thought of it. Next up for me, I think is going to be the reading vlog where I read books that you guys think are going to be 5-star reads for me. I've got 2 recommendations so far. It's not too late. It's not too late. So if you have a recommendation of a book that you think is going to be 5 stars for me, leave that down in the comments below, and I will get to it. I'd love to have 3 books for the vlog. Anyway, until then, I'll talk to you again soon. Bye, guys.